Welcome to Seniors Today. This is our very special program, and we're so glad that you're joining us to see these special memories of ours that we've had for 20 years here on Seniors Today. So my name is Pat Mathis.
And I'm Betty Cornett.
And we're so glad to have all of you here, and we have an audience here tonight, so we'll be introducing that audience also. So some of our special memories, Betty.
Yes, yes, and I think back to if it had not been for Jimmy and Joanne Thompson to be the ones that came to Atlanta and gave us this opportunity. I want to give an honor out to them, especially this day, because they mean so much to us. And actually, it was 9 years ago this week that Joanne passed away, and then 88 days after that is when Brother Jimmy. And so we still feel them, you know, walking the halls here. We feel them because they are very, very special to us.
And you know, our first roll-in is going to be about us interviewing them, Betty.
Yes.
Back in the day when they came down. You know, they always did the interviews first to everybody else. But this time, Betty and I got to interview Jimmy and Joanne, and it's very special.
It is, it is.
Yeah.
And I thought of this scripture, Pat, Ephesians 3 and 1, Ecclesiastes 3 and 1, says, to everything there is a season, a time for every purpose under heaven. And that's kind of the way we feel about seniors today. This is 20 years this year, and we have had such a tremendous, tremendous blessing for us to be here together for the last 20 years. And
had some wonderful guests.
Wonderful
We've had great guests here.
Yes, and people everywhere are just always saying, I watch you on Seniors Today. And so you keep watching Atlanta Live and all of the other things that are going on here, because we've just got that end of our season for right now. And so God bless you and all the viewers. We really love you and appreciate you. We are going to Jimmy and Joanne right now when Pat and I interviewed them back in March of 2002. Now, we've got some real special people right here on our set, Pat, and none other than Jimmy and Joanne Thompson. Let's give them a big welcome. Back to Atlanta from Greenville, and we're still live, Brother Jimmy. We're right here. We're live.
Yes. I like that.
Now, you all
everything on TV should be live, you know.
Everything should be live. Now, you all have never been here when Pat and I are hosting this Seniors Today program on Atlanta Live. And so you are really blessed, and we're blessed to have you here.
Yes.
But you're blessed because we have got so many people that watch this program especially. They love this program because good singing like we just heard. And so now we focus on issues that are affecting seniors. Now, Brother Jimmy, I guess you would say
in a few years and you would come
you'll come back in a few years when you can talk about the seniors.
Yes.
Do you have any wisdom keys that you can give us about growing old gracefully, or how does it feel?
Just do the best you can.
What you have to work with.
That's right.
And Joanne, you are the junior.
Yes, I've been 29 for a long time, and I like it so well I'm going to stay there a while. Yeah. But someone asked me the other day, said, would you like to be young again? And I said, how young? They said, in your teens. I said, and not have to go through this again. No, I'm too close home.
Yes.
But I think if you don't learn and become wiser as you live your life, then there's something lacking. You've wasted your life. But it's hard being a teenager, but it's hard also living with a teenager. So there are different phases of life that I think God expects you to stay in that phase at that time. But accept Jesus while you're young, because then you have a whole life to live for Him. Don't wait until you're in your senior citizen years, because then you've lived your life and it hasn't counted for much. But still accept Jesus, I mean, even on your deathbed, if that's the only way. But He can take a life and make it worth, living. I accepted Jesus when I was in my teens. And it was at a time that I wanted to do my own will. I wanted to go in the field of medicine. And He locked every door. He blocked every window. And so after I came to Him, He said, if you will just yield to me, I will use you in a way that you can never be used if you go in the medical field. And so when I take a team of doctors to Romania, it's almost like He's elbowing me and said, see, I told you. Mm-hmm. And I don't have to stay in one hospital. I've learned so much, I've seen so much surgery, and that's what I wanted to go in. But I didn't have to study and go through all that to get to watch and learn. So God knows what He's doing. He does, at any age.
At any age.
Yeah.
Well, Brother Jimmy, what do you want people to say about you? When your time has come to go, what do you want them to remember about Jimmy Thompson?
That I did the best I could.
That's your famous saying, isn't
That's
it?
right.
I'm going
that
to
I
tell
did
them
my
to put
best.
that on your marker. He
Exactly.
did
You
the
be
best he
sure.
could.
You did. And the one in the Bible, it talks about the little woman who said she did what she could. She hath done what she could. In the Bible. So I think I like that pretty well. Didn't do as good as a lot of folks, but I did what I could. Did the best I could.
And Betty, what a lot of people do not realize, that if you're not a Billy Graham or an Oral Roberts, that your life didn't count for anything. But God didn't tell us to win the world. He said, do what you're called to do. And if everybody does that, we'll win the world.
That's right.
So, I mean, He didn't ask you to do anything that He didn't give you the equipment to do it with.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we're just proud of Channel 57 here in Atlanta, Georgia, WATC. This great television station. Now with, I guess, about 2 million watts of power. And it reaches all the way out into the hinterland, like it didn't used to do that. In fact, it's hard to get it right in town. But now it reaches way out beyond the city limits and on out into the countryside. October the 27th will be 30 years
All right.
in Greenville.
All right. 30 years in Greenville.
And now they've been stations on the air. That's right.
Amen.
They've been stations on the air. They're not on the air anymore. They were Christian. They're running just regular secular programs now. It's something different. And we weren't the first Christian station on the air, but we're the longest continually broadcasting Christian station in the world.
That's great.
All the others
It's a
before
record.
us have
That
gone.
is great.
The only one is Phoenix. Phoenix was on before us and it's still on, but it was dark for a year during a transition period.
So that's when we moved ahead of them.
That's right.
Yeah.
We're the longest continuously operating station. I don't know which
Christian
way-
TV station.
Yeah.
Continue. You English teachers help me out here. In other words, continually operating station
Amen.
in the world.
Praise
Now, Jim, I'm
God.
sort of proud of that.
That's right. That's it. All right. Now that was Jimmy and Joanne. I tell you, they were just absolutely fabulous to interview, and we just loved it. Just absolutely loved it.
We looked good back then, too, didn't we?
I believe we were a little bit younger.
I think so. I think so. My hair was almost like it is tonight. I couldn't believe I hadn't changed my hairstyle.
Almost. Mine was a little longer. Yeah.
Right, right.
But that was Jimmy and Joanne,
Oh,
and
they're
how much we thought so much
Honor
of them.
them.
We really did, and they've done such a fabulous job with what they did in Greenville to start the station and then to start the station here and
Yes.
help us all out with what we've done here and
Yes.
accomplished, really starting out with nothing here.
That's right.
Really, and it was just absolutely fabulous. Now, you know, we're going to the next clip, and this is Eva Mae Lefevre with Mark Fuller on the piano. And she talks a lot, Betty, about how she started in singing about this song and everything. And it's just absolutely wonderful. And to hear her talk, and you know, we had
Yes.
her birthday party
We
here.
did, 90 years old.
Yes, we did, and
She
it
was
was
here.
just a fabulous birthday party, but she was so great, and she was with the Lefevres for many years, and she married into the family, the
Right.
Lefevre family.
Right.
And Mark was their piano player, traveled around with her
Right.
whenever the whole group
Yes.
disbanded, I guess, or
Kept it
something
going.
happened to him.
And he's here with us tonight.
He
so-
is, and so we're going to introduce him later on because he is here with us.
Right.
So it's great to have all these memories, really, from a long time ago, and we're going to go to that clip right now.
Slow down now and sing a song to you that means more to me, I guess, than any song I am singing right now. I told you a few minutes ago that when I'm at my loneliest, when I would have a pity party for Eva Mae, when I would be disgusted, when I would be aggravated, when I would be almost mad, I can sing this song and find hope. And I want you to listen to every word of it. When I prayed my last prayer and I've sung my last song, you know that time's coming. The death angel whispers, Eva Mae, it's time to come home. It'll be goodbye to friends who I've met on my way, but I'll meet them again on that homecoming day. I've got a longing, I'm ready to go to a land without heartaches, no more sorrow or woe. There's nothing can hold me in this world below. I'm homesick for heaven, and I've got a longing to go. I've got a longing, I'm ready to go to a land without heartaches, where there's no more sorrow or woe. There's nothing can hold me in this world below. I'm homesick for heaven, and I've got a longing to go. You know, I'm not getting up a load. I'm not saying I'm getting up a load, I want to go tonight, because I'm so happy and I love this life. And I've been living it for 85 years. But when my time comes, you know, I have no worries and I have not one thing to complain about or to grumble about. So if you don't know the Lord today, it's time that you ask and bring him into your life and your heart. It's free. It doesn't cost a penny. God bless you.
Amen.
Eva Mae always has just been the queen, you know, of gospel music. And it's always just the same. Every time you saw her, she was the same.
Yes, she
and
was.
for those of you who have just moved to Atlanta and you don't even know who she is, the Lefevre Trio to start off with, and then they got Rex Nealon to sing in with them. And they were right here from Atlanta, Georgia, and they went all over the place and traveling, you know, like they do. But I'll tell you, they were genuine people. They really knew how to sing. But yeah, she was here when she was 90 years old, and if I can still sing as good as she can when I get, I think she said 85, well, I got a ways to go, but I plan on keep on singing, and I'll be singing that song too. I got a longing to go. I'm singing it now in my heart. I am ready to go. I'm ready.
Well, you know, for our next clip, or our next roll-in that we have, is Art Linkletter. Now, Art Linkletter came to town, and he was in a conference. So I went over there, and I asked him, and this was back in 2002.
Okay.
And went over there, and I asked him, I said, could I do an interview with him? And of course, he said, yes, of course. So we sat down, and you know, he always talked to the children. You know,
Oh, yes.
He would always say something to the
He
children.
said children are funny. What did he say about?
Yeah, children are the funniest. You know?
They say the funniest things.
And that's right. And he was just absolutely the most wonderful interview that you can imagine. He was so articulate, and I believe he was at 90 years old then. Of course, he'll tell you that on this clip, how old he was, and he tried to make me figure it out, you know, how old he was. Well, at that time, I couldn't figure it out real quick. So he was just great. He was a wonderful interview, and so, you know, a lot of these people, we miss them, you know, we do miss them. So let's go see the clip. So good to have you here on our Seniors Today program. I know that you're here to attend the Peach Conference for Seniors.
That's right. I understand this is the first one here.
Yes, it is.
And I'm looking forward to it because I travel a couple 100,000 miles every year talking to all kinds of organizations like this. Christian schools, churches, hospitals. And occasionally when I'm home, I go down to get a glass of milk in the refrigerator and open the door and the light goes on. I talk for 20 minutes.
That's great. That's super. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am approaching my 40th anniversary of my 50th birthday.
40th anniversary of your 50th birthday. Okay.
Do you figure how old I am?
No.
I'm 90 in July.
Oh, that's great.
And I travel and I speak and I write books and I do business. And I have a big family of which I spend a lot of time because American families are tending to disintegrate and mine is not going to be one of them. Married to the same lady for 66 years.
Oh, that's wonderful.
We've had 5 children, had 2 tragic losses. We have 3 living children, 9 grandchildren, and 15 great-grandchildren.
Oh, that's marvelous.
And I get them together, and we're a wonderful Christian family, and we love life, and love the Lord, and it's been a great life.
That's great. Well, tell me a little bit about your radio programs. I know you started a radio program back in the 50s.
Well, I began in radio in 1933.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That was in San Diego while I was still going to college studying to be an English professor, part-time job. And that was the beginning of the, what we call the man on the street shows. Never been done before in the history of the world, where a microphone went out and talked to people who are not professionals. No writing, just anything happened. And I found that that was what I could do best. So I had one show called The House Party for 26 years on CBS, radio from 1943 until about 1952, and then TV. And People Are Funny, which preceded it by 2 years, and was on NBC for 19 years, and a show on ABC called Life with Linkletter for 5 years, and they were all on at the same time during those 5 years. So I was on every network, every week. If you didn't like me, you just went out of your mind.
Now, these were audience participation.
Yes, game, talk, interviews, stunt, surprises, everything that you could do with people without scripts and without any preparation.
Yes. Well, I know that you did have some tragedies in your life, and I know that what is inspirational to you to help you get through those times?
Well, to begin with, you have to think if you lost someone that's dear to you, that they're only on loan to you from the Lord anyway, and I would have, I was appreciative of the years I had them. And I had other children, and I knew that I couldn't burden them with any heavy melancholy and ruin them. So we made the best of it, that's all. We thought good thoughts, and I went out on a 15-year crusade against drug abuse when I lost my daughter. And my wife was very supportive. The family was closer, more loving. When you have a serious tragedy in your family, you are either going to be enhanced by it because of the way you meet the challenges of it, or you're going to be destroyed by it. And I wasn't going to be destroyed.
And God is good. He can get us through it.
Yes, and I had Norman Vincent Peale, the famous pastor of the Collegiate Marble Church in New York, who was my advisor and helped me get through it.
Right. Well, I know you're a self-made, successful man. So tell us some of the things that helped you to be a success.
Well, I found the things very early in my life that I loved to do, and I did them. And I did them well, and I worked very hard. You must have some talent, you must work hard, but you must have a passion for what you're doing. And I always just loved what I was doing. And so I started locally, and then I went regionally, and then I went nationally. And I found that I was very successful because I was just myself. And I didn't have writers, and I didn't have agents, I didn't have managers, all the things that they load you up with in Hollywood. And I was never a part of the Hollywood crowd, the so-called Rat Pack, because I didn't drink and I didn't run around with wild people. And my wife and my children and I lived like we would have lived if I had been a real estate salesman or a grocer or even a preacher. Even a preacher. My adopted father was a minister, so I was a preacher's kid. So I know what it's like to live in a devout household.
Well, we all loved your program about kids.
Yes.
I know that inspired you to write a book.
Yes, I wrote half a dozen books. In fact, I've written 26 books. Wow. The two best interviews that are ad lib and unprepared and unrehearsed are children under 10 and old people over 65.
Yes, and put them both together. That's great, isn't it?
And they both say whatever they want to say. The kids don't know what they're saying, and the old people don't care.
Right.
He was so great. He was just fabulous. I wish I could have shown you the whole interview because he was just absolutely fabulous to talk to. And to be at that age and be so articulate and know exactly what to say all the time. He was great.
He was the best at what he did.
He was the best.
And every one of us have eaten at Chick-fil-A one or more times already, and if you hadn't, you need to go to Chick-fil-A. But Truett Cathy is a man that I just adored, and we had the privilege to go to his treehouse office over in Union City, and he was just a joy to interview, and I was so proud, and I still have the memories of that, and it will go with me till I die. And he gave me books that are autographed, and that was just the topping on the cake.
We both got an autographed book that day.
Yes, we did, and he still
and free food.
Yeah, and he said if we kept that book long enough that it'd be worth a lot of money, and so I still got mine. But to see how that family has, especially now, gone through the trials and tribulations they've come through, but they have been upright and Christian people and standing for the right thing. So I just was so happy and honored and blessed to be in this man's presence.
Yes, and
Truett Cathy.
Yes.
Okay, we're here in the office of Mr. Truett Cathy. Thank you so much for allowing us to come and be with you here at your headquarters and right here in your office. And we're just blessed to be here with you today.
Well, thank you. This is my tree house. See, you notice we're right up in the trees, and I stood out when the building was under construction with a shotgun daring the construction workers tear down a tree unless it was absolutely necessary. So you can see I am truly my tree house. And I feel being in the restaurant business, kind of a divine business, that is divine calling, where you're called to serve people, meet the physical needs and the emotional needs and sometimes spiritual needs. And a lot of people go out to eat when they're not even hungry. They're looking for a pleasant experience. And also, doors of opportunities was presented to us that we now have a relationship to Berry College. Then to take advantage of that huge area, 28,000 acres of land, we started a boys' camp, then a girls' camp. Then we have 2 foster homes there that we built. We build the home and attract the parents and attract the children. The parents that we select, we tell them it's not a job, it's a calling of the Lord. If you're not there to do this, you're going to soon get burned out, because that's a 24-hour a day minding somebody else's children. But it's been very rewarding for me, and the camp has been very rewarding as well. That we call it Camp WinShape, shaping individuals to be winners. And so that's our goal there at the camp, that they might be better children when they go back with their parents. And that I think God instilled in each of us a desire to be somebody and achieve something that might be noteworthy. So we try to pass this on to our young people. And many of our counselors are students of Berry and in our Berry program. So we know the counselors, that's important. But getting back to the homes, that we hire selective in our parents, because we realize that's the success for foster home, is having role model parents. So we have both parents. We pay them both full-time parenting, and every home is licensed up to 12 children. And the children we try to identify are those that do not have any serious behavior problems, just victim of circumstances. I played the role as adopted grandpa for them, and I tell them, you don't have to call me grandpa, those call me grandpa gets more. So it motivates most of them to call me grandpa. It's one of the joys that I have driving up to one of these homes, and all the kids come peeling out, grandpa's here, and get a hug and a kiss on the cheek oftentimes.
Yes.
He was so delightful.
He was very good.
We miss him, don't we?
We miss him very much, and,
Yes.
but he was such a delight to be around too.
That's right.
But you know, our next guest and the roll-in that we have is Dottie Rambo, and she was here, and she was a delight, really.
Several times.
Oh yes, she was here several times, but I had to choose one.
Yes.
So I chose this one, and she was just wonderful. And she will also be singing one of her songs, but she talked about her life and how she grew up and what happened with her in her earlier years of her life. And I know that her daughter and her husband sang with her for many years there too, which was absolutely wonderful.
Yes.
And but you will want to hear every word that she says, because it was just so wonderful to hear everything about her life. And then to hear her sing. Now, this is not one of her most famous songs, but it's a very good song. Every song she wrote and everything she had was just absolutely fabulous, because she was from Kentucky, and she had that sort of crying voice, you know. It was just, it just melded you and got you right into it, got you right into those songs, and you felt everything that she sang. You could feel it. You could feel it down in here. But
it will touch you. If you don't have some of her recordings, you ought to find some.
Yes.
Because there's no one that has that voice.
That's right.
You know,
exactly.
We miss her, too.
You do.
We miss all these people.
We do. We had such wonderful people here that we interviewed. I mean, it was just so fabulous to have each person here to talk to. And, you know, they would really could talk to us. They would get right in there and would tell us these things.
They poured their heart out, and they were just honest and opened their lives before us.
Well, let's go to Dottie.
Brother flipped me out of the house because Daddy was not a Christian. He was an alcoholic, and pretty rough on my mother and mentally on me. But I wanted to go hear that man sing, But I forgot he was going to preach too. He was an evangelist. So I didn't really want to hear the preaching because I wasn't saved yet. I want to go hear the singing. You play that guitar, see. So I went, and I was sitting on the back seat, and I had that long Cherokee Indian hair down past my knees, and sitting on the back seat of that little Church of God church. I didn't know anything about Church of God. My people were Baptists. So all of a sudden, when he started preaching, the Holy Spirit got all over me, and I thought, now, I don't know what this is, but I felt this with Grandpa when he prayed and talked, and with my mother when they'd read the Bible. So all of a sudden, I was shaking the pew in front of me, and I laid down in my pew, no one else was on it. I couldn't shake that off. So back then, you remember, or maybe you don't from your part of the world, when people would come back and say, do you know Jesus?
Oh, yes.
You remember
Oh,
that?
yes, I do.
Oh, I've done that since then. And they take you by the hand and very graciously then and say, well, if you would like to know the Lord, come and go with me. Well, he came right to me, and some reason they knew me in that little town from being on the radio, and they called me Little Dottie. He said, Little Dottie, you need Jesus. And I never knew I was going to do this. I just pushed him out of the way, and I said, I know it, get out of my way. And that's what I did. I just ran to the altar. I didn't know I sounded disrespectful. But I knelt down, Pat and Betty, and when I knew that my life would be forever changed with that gift, it's when I knelt down to pray. I said, now, God, if I don't cry on you here, I'm Jeremiah, my eyes leak a lot, you know.
That's okay.
When I knelt to pray, I remember saying, I'm going to talk to you like Grandpa, Mama, like they do. The only thing I know to say to you is this. The way I will know I'm converted and my life has been changed as a girl is when you start teaching me how to forgive my father for being brutally mean to my mother. If you can just take that bitterness and hate out of me. Well, I'm gonna tell you girls, I prayed that, I meant it, and the Lord knew He'd given me that gift and He was preserving it. All of a sudden, it was like I was light as a feather. I didn't know anybody else was in the building. I mean, it happens that quick. You know, you don't have to pray a long prayer.
Right.
It's when you get serious with the Lord. So from there, I was saved. My brother drove me back, slipped me in the house so Dad wouldn't know I'd been to church. But I woke him up and told him how I'd been converted. Well, that's when it all started for me. My daddy was high-tempered. We had an acre of corn Mom had planted to put up and can. I told Daddy I'd gotten converted. My mother was shouting, crying. Daddy was cursing. And he went out and tore the whole acre of cornfield down. He was so mad. And so in the next few weeks, he said, now you have a choice. You can sing country music, which he loved for me to do that. For his coon hunting friends and fox hunting friends, he loved that. But he said, you can do that or you can sing gospel, but you can't do both. So I made a decision at 12 that I wanted to sing gospel music.
Rough and rolling waters pull my ship across the sea. Go ahead and cast your fury, you're not a threat to me. Voice your anger with the wild winds, your waves upon the shore. I'm sailing with the master, we've weathered storms before. We've sailed through the rain, we've sailed through the wind, we've weathered the tempest, we're back on course again. And the man who built this vessel, he knows it can endure. And I'm sailing with the master, we've weathered storms before. And we have. He's teaching me to listen, hear the laughter in the rain, see the beauty in the lightning. Storms are just passing days. Hear the music in the thunder and the wind friends are nothing more than a voice to just remind me we've weathered storms before. We have sailed through the rain, we've sailed through the wind, we've weathered the tempest, we're back on course again. The man who built this vessel, he knows it can endure. And I'm sailing with the master, we've weathered storms before. We've sailed through the rain, we've sailed through the wind, we've weathered tempest, we're back on course again. Yes, we are. And the man who built this vessel, why, he knows it can endure. I'm sailing with the master, we've weathered storms before. The man who built the vessel knows it can endure. And I'm sailing with the master, we've weathered storms before. Thank God, every one of us, we've got through.
Amen. Wasn't she wonderful? She was such a wonderful interview. She was just fantastic. Now, I've got a very special thing to tell you about. This interview was done with my grandchildren, and this is Dylan and Carly. And they came down when they were probably 8, 9, some years ago. They were that age. And they sat on this sofa, and I sat beside them. Betty was over here and did this wonderful interview with them when they were just little. And their parents are here with us, and I'll introduce them later on in the program. So we're going to go to my grandchildren and let you see what they were like when they were little. Let them have something special in their lap.
Yes, I see.
And tell us about that, Carly. How did you get that? And tell us what it is.
Hold it up and let the people see.
It's my Bible, and I got it from my church. And you get it when you're in 3rd grade, so you can, so you read better and you could read the Bible.
That's good.
And Dylan, when did you get yours?
I got mine in 3rd grade, just like her, and so we're learning some more in 4th grade as we're going on to 5th, but I'm still in 4th right now.
Right. And now in Sunday school, I bet that you're learning Bible scriptures, aren't you?
Yes.
Do you have a favorite scripture?
No, I don't think so.
You like all of it.
Yeah.
That's the best way. Like all of it. It makes a difference in people's lives, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
It's like a guidebook and a rule book and a directions for life, isn't it?
Yes.
Mr. Dillon was going to talk about how blessed that you children are, and what do we mean, and how do you feel like you and Carly are blessed?
By our parents are still together, and we get to spend a lot of time with our grandparents, and I have 2 great dogs and a great sister.
Oh, now that's very nice. Very
Dogs
good.
are very important, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yes, they're like family.
And Carly, how are you blessed?
I'm blessed because I have a loving family and I have a wonderful brother.
Oh, did he pay you to say that?
No, I wish he did.
She said, I wish he did.
Oh, my.
That is so great. And you know, I want you to put up those pictures and let them see what they look like now. You know, there's Dylan. That's what he looks like now.
Yes.
Yay. And that's Carly.
Oh,
and that's
isn't she
Carly. She's
beautiful?
still in college. Carly's in college. She's in her 3rd year in college. So, and Dylan is here. He's here working at the station and has
Yes.
been for a few years now.
That's right. That's right.
And you know, the next clip that we're going to have is with Ronnie Henson. Now, Ronnie Henson was part of the Henson family out of Nashville, Tennessee. They sang Southern gospel music for many years, and of course, Kenny, I think he passed away, and so Ronnie was out on his own, and he came down here. And we interviewed him, and he sang his famous song,
Yes.
which was The Lighthouse.
The Lighthouse.
The Lighthouse is very well known by so many people out there. And it's a great, great song. And he told a little bit about that, which was great.
That was another family singers, you know, that harmony is always so good when it's a family like that. And they wrote some good songs.
They wrote wonderful songs.
Yeah.
They had a tremendous amount of #1 songs out there too. And most all these people that we've had on, you know, they've had #1 songs.
Right.
Well, we're going to go to Ronnie and listen to him sing.
Yes, of all the songs that I've ever written, this is my signature song. And this is the song that I want to, in a sense, drive home special to somebody tonight. Jesus can rescue you where you are out in that ocean of sin. Listen to this song called The Lighthouse. There's a lighthouse on a hillside, and it overlooks life's sea. And when I'm tossed, it sends out a light. It's a light that I might see, and the light that shines in the darkness now, it will safely lead me home. I know if it wasn't for that old lighthouse, I know my ship would sail no more. Now everybody that lives around us, all around us, they say, why don't you go on and just tear that old lighthouse down? We all know the big ships, the important folk, they don't sail by this way anymore. I just can't see no use in that old thing standing round. But then my mind goes back to that stormy night when just in time, thank God I saw the light. Don't you know it was the light from that old lighthouse? No, something else, it still stands up there on the hill. And I thank God for that old lighthouse. Every day I still owe my life to Him. For Jesus is that old lighthouse. I remember, and from the rocks of sin, He has shone His light around, all around me. Now I can clearly see. But if it wasn't for that old lighthouse, tell me, where would this ship be? I thank God for the lighthouse. Every day of my life, I owe my life to Him. For Jesus is that old lighthouse, and from the rocks of sin, He has shone His light around, all around me. Now and forever I can see. If it wasn't for that old lighthouse, tell me, where would your ship be?
How wonderful.
That's
That
a
is
good
so
song, a
great.
good song. You know, I am so glad that one day that Greg West brought in Babby Mason here to WATC. And she began to do her production here and sing and had a program, and Greg kind of headed up in that. And the creative one. He had a good one there, and it was called Babby's House. It's still going, and they've already celebrated, I think, their 20 years with being there. And so Babby is a person that, this is what I always say about her. From that first day I met her till right today, she never has changed. She is the same every time you see her. And she has a way of transferring to any culture, color, country, wherever she goes. She is accepted and highly acclaimed. We are so proud to have her on the family here at WATC and having Babby's House. And she also has her own radio network. You need to check her out at babby.com and check up on her. She's on TV every day, I think in the afternoon. I'm sorry, I don't know the exact time, but I'm sure you've seen it if you watch WATC. We love you, Babby Mason.
And she, you know, she was great to interview, and she would talk about her life and things that happened to her in her life. And she was always great to always come here and be with us for whatever we needed. And so we appreciate Babby. We appreciate her so much. It was just absolutely fabulous to have her here. So let's go to that clip and see Babby.
And I remember in the summer or the winter, around February of 1986, I had been singing for some events that were hosted by the governor of the state of Georgia at that time was Joe Frank Harris, and he hosted a prayer breakfast here in Atlanta. Here in Atlanta, the governor's prayer breakfast, and I was to be their music guest that year in 1986, and Billy Graham was to be their speaker, but for some reason he couldn't come, but Cliff Barrows, the music director, appeared that morning to be the speaker. But before that event was over, Mr. Cliff Barrows asked me if I would consent to be their next music guest at an upcoming Billy Graham Crusade in Tallahassee, Florida, and that was in 1986. And so the Lord just began to open up, I mean, wonderful doors of opportunity to sing in churches and conventions and conferences, Women of Faith, and many Billy Graham Crusades all over the world, Tokyo, Japan, and Montreal, Canada, and all over the United States. And so it's just been a wonderful opportunity to lift up the name of Jesus and to sing his praises and to write songs and to sing those with churches and record music. And I've just had the best time of my life. I tell people, I love what I do and I do what I love. And it just doesn't get any better than that.
Suffering pain, but I didn't dare just turn my head and look the other way. For when your heart is aching, my heart is aching too. Let me help you bear your burden. It's the least that I can do. I'll be standing in the gap for you. Just remember, someone somewhere is praying for you, calling out your name, praying for your strength. I'll be standing in the gap for you. Right now you may be troubled, but everything will work out fine. For the Spirit knows before you speak what is on your heart and mind. So I'll be interceding till you're standing strong again. The peace that passes understanding is going to be yours, but until then, I'll be standing in the gap for you. Just remember, someone somewhere is praying for you, calling out your
She's such
Yes.
a dear.
Oh,
Sweet
that
lady,
was our
sweet lady.
That was our sweet Babby. She was always here for us.
Yes.
She's always here. But our next special person is sitting right here beside me, and that's Betty Cornett.
I'm
and
not
she always,
special.
yes, you are. And she would always sing for us, you know, and she has this song that she loves to sing, and it's called 4 Days Late, and she's going to be singing that for you. And right after that is going to be the trio,
Right.
which includes Betty and Wanda and Charlotte. And we sort of called them the Andrews sisters too, but even though they were the trio, you know, the TV 57 trio, because the Andrews sisters had a blonde, a redhead, and a brunette.
yes.
Well,
We fit the
that's
bill.
what they fit right
Yeah,
in.
we fit
Blonde,
right
a
in.
brunette, and a redhead.
Let
And
me
they
tell you
were
something
great.
about the three of us. All three of us, we play the piano, and all three of us can sing all three parts in the trio. And we've all been raised up in the Church of God. Wanda's a preacher's kid. And I met Charlotte when I was about 22 years old, 21 or 22. And we've been best friends ever since.
And you work
then-
together here.
Right, and
Work together
then Charlotte and Wanda were best friends, and so I started to work here first, and then Charlotte came second, and then Wanda came third, and we've been here ever since
That's
we
right.
started.
That's right.
Each one
And
of us started.
we've appreciated every one of you being here.
Yes.
You've done something special here at the station, whatever it was that needed to be done. If it was answering the phone or whatever needed to be done, they were always there.
But they would never let us work on the same day because we'd never get anything done.
We had to keep them apart, you know,
Yeah.
that type of thing. Well, we're going to go listen to Betty and the trio after that, and then we're going to a break.
The news came to Jesus, please come fast, 'cause Lazarus is sick, and without your help, he will not last. So Mary and Martha, they watched their brother die. They waited for Jesus, he did not come. They wondered why. The death watch was over. He was buried 4 days. Then somebody said, he'll soon be here. The Lord's on his way. So Martha ran to him, and then she cried, oh Lord, if you had just been here, you could have healed him, and he'd still be alive. But you're 4 days late, and all hope is gone. Lord, we don't understand why you waited so long. Oh, but his way is God's way, and not yours or mine. Oh, but isn't it great when he's 4 days late, he's still on time. Then Jesus said, Martha, just go show me the grave. But she said, Lord, you still don't understand. He's already been there 4 days. But the gravestone was rolled back, and then Jesus cried, Lazarus, come forth. Then somebody said, why, he's alive. He's alive. He's alive. He's alive. Hallelujah. He's alive. Now you may be fighting your own battle of fear, and you've cried to the Lord, I need you now. But he has not appeared. But friend, don't be discouraged, oh no, 'cause he's still the same. Oh yes, and he'll soon be here. He'll roll back your stone. He'll call you by name. Yes, he will. When he's 4 days late, and all hope is gone. Oh Lord, we don't understand why you waited so long. Oh, but his way is God's way. Yes, it is. Not yours or mine. Oh, but isn't it great when he's 4 days late, he's still on time. Oh, my God is great when he's 4 days late, he's still on time. He's still on time. Hallelujah. His name is wonderful. His name is wonderful. His name is wonderful. Jesus, my Lord. He is the mighty King. He's the master of everything. His name is wonderful. Jesus, my Lord. He's the great shepherd, the rock of all ages. Almighty God is He. Bow down before Him,
to Seniors Today, this very special program. My name is Pat Mathis, and this
I'm
is Betty
Cornett.
Yes, and Betty, we have on this 30 minutes, we have a wonderful people that we got memories of.
Memories
And so
again.
we're going to start with one that's called Men of Praise. Would you talk about them?
The Men of Praise are from the First Baptist Church in Snellville, Georgia, and they've been over here several times. The director is Lawton Roberts, and he does a fantastic job with all those gentlemen. They are middle-aged to around 90, I guess.
Yes.
And they are still traveling and going and singing. I hope that they are watching tonight and or today, whenever you're watching it. And they are just so great, and they are just statesman-looking guys, you know. I mean, they just sing with such loving passion. So here we go, Men of Praise from First Baptist in Snellville, Georgia.
The more I trust him, the more I love him. Nothing good for me he'll deny. The longer I know him, the better I can show him. I couldn't stop now if I tried. Oh, it gets sweeter as the days go by. It gets sweeter as the moments fly. His love is richer.
Placed his love down deep in my heart. It's great joy in knowing with him I am going, and never more from him to depart.
Oh, it gets sweeter as the days go by. It gets sweeter as the moments fly. His love is richer.
They were great.
You never get too old to sing.
I know, and they did such a great job.
If you like singing, go to a church and say, I want to sing in the choir. I want to sing in the choir. There's a song about that.
Yes. Well, you know, our next guest that we had here a few years ago was Willie Wynn. And Willie used to sing with the Oak Ridge Boys way back in the day. It's been many years ago, but he left them and he started his own business, and then he started his own group. And just did a fabulous job. And then he went out kind of on his own in the end here and sang a lot of songs and made a wonderful CD himself, which was fabulous. And, you know, all of these people, if you want to get in touch with them ever, not the ones that passed away, of course, but those that are, but like for Willie, he's still there. So you might want to get in touch with him.
Laugh.
But anyway, Willie is a great singer. He still can sing. He really can. So we want to go to him and listen to him sing.
Country, like my father before me, I make my home in a land of liberty. I have a dream to watch my children grow up free. 'Cause I'm America and I'm so proud to be.
Okay, now that is
Patriotic
a
song. We got to have a patriotic song.
It was wonderful.
Absolutely.
It was so good. But Betty, our next person that we're going to have on is very special to me.
Yes, he is to all of us. We
I don't
miss
think I can
him.
get through it, but that was Jerry. Jerry is going to come up and sing in the next clip, and that's Jerry Goff. And he came here so many times, Betty.
Oh, yes.
He would come and he would sing. He would do anything we asked him to do here. I don't think I can get through
He could take care of any situation. You want Jerry Goff to sing, you want him to preach, you want him to be a host, you want him to be a master of ceremonies, whatever you, and especially someone who could joke and tell you something about everything.
Yes.
And he was just, Jan, his wife is here tonight. I tell you what, he is one of the people that I enjoyed being around, and everybody did.
Oh, everybody enjoyed Jerry.
Because he encouraged everybody. He had a joke to tell about everything you could talk about.
He did.
So he was just one of a kind. They didn't make any more Jerry Goffs. And I wish they had, because we need more people like him. So somebody out there, if you want to be Jerry Goff, hey, start listening to him and take on the role. And
You
go
know,
for it.
he would come and host with me. Anytime I asked him, he would come over and host. He
When
would
I was
sing.
gone.
Yes, and always in August, he would host with me. And Jan would be here. She would sing wonderful songs with him. But this is one of his latest songs that he wrote, and it was called Babe in a Blanket of Hay. And it's such a wonderful song, and he tells us about how he wrote that song. So let's go listen to Jerry right now.
Thank you, Pat. I live in Nashville. I have a home there and here as well. And I'm a part of a little group that we gathered, used to, don't do it much anymore, but for many years, they were country singers and directors and leaders, and some in the gospel field. And about 3 days a week, we would meet down at the Pancake Pantry and have breakfast. And I went down there one morning, and I sat down at my place at the table, and a gentleman whose name probably won't ring a bell with you, but he's a behind-the-scenes man named Harold Shedd. And Harold is probably one of the foremost producers in Nashville. He's produced for Alabama, and he's produced for the Oak Ridge Boys and Porter Wagner and Dolly Parton and on and on. And he said, Jerry said, tomorrow we're going to be recording a Christmas album. Why don't you let us have a couple Christmas songs, and we'll see what happens. Well, I said, okay, I'll write you a couple tonight and bring them tomorrow, because they don't want old Christmas songs. They want something that nobody's ever recorded, as that's part of their putting on a new project. So that night at home, I was sitting there, and I wrote sort of a secular type Christmas song first. And then I was sitting at the table, my Bible was opened, and I said, Lord, help me write a Christmas song that will tell the Christmas story, but also will tell of the reason for the Christmas story, that Jesus came to bring God's grace to us. And out of that moment, this song was born, and I began to write it. Hit the sound, Mr. John, and listen to the words. See what God laid on my heart for that night. I can't imagine a king being born without robes of purple and red. But there's a story of old, and it's true, I am told. A king was born where the cattle were fed. Just a babe in the blanket of hay. Didn't look like the Savior, they say. But there's enough saving grace for the whole human race in that babe in the blanket of hay. We are told that wise men came to see if he was really what they thought him to be. Wise men still come today to the manger to pray to that king in the blanket of hay. Just a babe in the blanket of hay. Didn't look like a savior, they say, but there's enough saving grace for the whole human race in that babe in the blanket of hay. And there's enough saving grace for the whole human race in that babe in the blanket of hay. Blanket of hay.
I was about 13 years old, and I was at the Livonia Church of God, and our pastor got up and announced that the Clout Indian family was going to be at our church. I got so excited because I'd never been around a real Indian before. And then when they got there, they had on their costumes, and they looked really, really real then. And I was so impressed with them, and I was so excited because they came to our house to eat dinner after the church service. Oh, we were so excited at our house. And ever since that time, I have loved the Clout Indian family. And Melvin Clout has come here to been on Seniors Today so many, many times. And thank you for being here tonight, Melvin. We love you. We love your family. And we just get excited when we are around him because there's just something different about the Clout Indian family. And he is a wonderful teacher and a preacher and just loves God with all of his heart. So Melvin Clout is going to share a Christmas message with us.
Hear about you growing up in South Dakota?
North Dakota.
North Dakota. And tell us more about that.
Well, talking about Christmas with Indians, most of your races now are trying to go back to their roots.
Yes.
When it comes to Indians, because they've been on Indian reservations, they have never, many of them have never left their roots. So how they celebrate Christmas goes back to what we refer to as the winter solstice, which was about the 20th of December. And what the Indians would do, they would get together and they would thank the Great Spirit for the blessings that they had the prior season. And then following the winter solstice, then they would ask the Great Spirit to bless them the coming year. So many of your Indians now, although they're becoming more in tune with present-day civilization,
Right.
a lot of them are still celebrating from that standpoint.
That's good. Did they, now before we got here, they were having their own celebrations, and it would kind of remind me like what the pioneers did or something. They had the harvest time, and that was around in the fall of the year. And then I'm sure that it went on to, did Christmas, were they celebrating Christmas Day back
Well, they,
then?
and most of your Indian history has been written by non-Indians. So they give their side of the history. But in our unwritten history that's been passed down verbally from generation to generation, there is a story that mentions that at one time there was a special baby that was born.
Okay.
And I think this probably came from, Indians always came from somewhere else. It's not that God planted them
They were just here.
So they came from other countries. So through the ages, this story about the special child that was born, finally in 1914, Azusa Street. 2 missionaries came to our reservation from Azusa Street.
Is that right?
And they couldn't speak Indian, and of course the Indians couldn't speak English. But in our history, it says that one of those Azusa ministries, for about 20 minutes, preached the message of Christ in fluent Arikara language.
Really?
So that's how the Holy Spirit works.
Wow.
He works through people.
Isn't that
Some have said that you know, that couldn't have happened, but our grandmother, who lived to be 104, you know, she participated in that, so she understands. And my mother was at that time was 8 years old.
Melvin Cloud. Yes, he
That
does
was-
a good job.
That was great. That was wonderful. But, you know, in our next little segment, we have Leroy Doe. And you met Leroy Doe many years ago and recommended that he come to the station.
Yes.
And that was just great for us because he has been so great for us here.
Asset to this station,
He
yes.
comes whenever we need him here. He will host a program. He will do whatever we need whenever we call him. It makes no difference. If I call him, he will always be here.
He's pastor of Concord Baptist
Love him.
Church. Go by and
Love
see him, watch his program. It's on sometime.
Well, it
Tuesday
is.
or Wednesday morning.
It's on here. You can call the front desk and find out when he's on. But he hosts Atlanta Live. He's been a guest of Atlanta Live. He's been here for whatever we needed. We're our prayer day, that prayer day. Well, let's go to Leroy right now.
I believe that there is a word from the Lord for such a time as this. Many people look to different things to find happiness. They look to their family, look to money, they look to wealth, they look to all kind of things. But we believe that those things are temporary at best. But if we are to have lasting peace, if the church is to reclaim its position, if it is to go back to being the place where the weary will find rest and the sick can be comforted and people can be prayed for and healed, then we must go back and maintain our foundational beliefs that got us through where we are, to where we are. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, the church has come. But it's been God that has seen fit to bring us through. And as we live in a time now where many of our, when I was a child, now 3 or 4 generations of Christians have come about. And it seems as though there has been a falling away from basic fundamental theology to the point now where we have church and we don't even feel the presence of the Lord in the house. And so I call on, and especially today, on Seniors Today, on a night like Seniors Tonight, a night that's for everybody, but emphasizing those of us who've been around long enough to know that the Lord will make a way somehow. For those of us who've been around long enough to know that weeping and sorrow may endure for a night, but joy will come in the morning, I appeal to us tonight to not give up the fight, to not throw in the towel, to not abdicate that we believe in for the sake of filling pews or filling sanctuaries or paying mortgages, but stand on the word of God and let God raise us up to the point where we need to be.
Amen. That's our pastor, Leroy Doe of Concord Baptist Church. And he's, like I said, just great. Well, Betty, this is the end of our program here, and we have a great cake.
Yes.
That says, congratulations, 20 years of Seniors Today. And so we're just so proud of that, to have been here 20 years.
Yes, we made it.
It's been great to be with you for 20 years.
Yeah, you too, Pat. Well, we are surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses here.
That's right. And I'm going to introduce most of them here because these are people who have come to celebrate with us. So I want to start over here, and you all heard of them, and that was part of the trio, and you are?
I'm Wanda Helms.
She's the redhead.
I'm Charlotte.
And there's Charlotte.
And
of
I'm
course,
the blonde.
Betty is the blonde, so that was the trio that was here. And then, of course, we have a special guest from Bulgaria, and her name is
Mariela.
and they call her Mel. And of course, Betty, you come and introduce these
This
two.
is a very handsome young man. He looks like me, and I think you're better looking than me. But this is Stephen, my grandson. I love him dearly, and my only child, Tina. Tina used to work here at TV 57, and I appreciate you all coming through all the rain and the storms
Yes.
and everything to get here.
Yes.
That's why I'm.
And I have special people here, and of course, this is my son, Darren, and this is his wife, Christy, and my husband, Jim. And of course, they are the parents of the grandchild that we showed you just a little bit earlier. And of course, this is their grandpa. And so it's great to have you all here with us. It's good to see you, and good to have Dylan on the camera and everything back here. Of course, this is Mark. He was the one that was playing that piano, remember? For Eva May.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
I do. And I thought, well, don't try to contact her now, because
I loved it, though. Didn't you love that? We needed it. We needed a good laugh. Needed a good laugh. And we've got some special people here, and this is the Bridgmans. And you all came in to be with us a lot of times and sang.
We did.
Yes.
We did.
This is Alicia and Travis, and you have a church.
Yes,
right?
Antioch Baptist Church in Cumming.
That's right. And we have some special people back here. They're back here, and it's Vicki and Lita. Vicki and Lita. And they are great in doing the Hall of Fame
Yes.
and making sure that that got taken care of, I believe, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Great help.
Well, it's good to have you all here. And of course, we have some special people back here. And tell us who you are.
I'm Linda Beatonbow, and this is my second and first husband. Charlie Beatonbow.
It's good to have you. Now, both of you have been here, and you have sung with us too. You've done a great job, and it's so great for you to be here and sharing with us. Of course, this is my special lady right here. Oh, my goodness, she's so special. And she always came with Jerry and sang with him and did a fabulous job and sat on the sofa with us and talked a lot.
Well, you know, Jerry Goff invited me to come and be with you guys.
That's right.
I'm little Jan Buckner Goff.
Yes, that's right. It's so good to have you here. So great.
It's been a nice one.
It is.
Yes.
And so good you brought this fellow along with you. Now, he's been with us too, right?
Yep. I came and sang a couple of years ago for you on
And this is
Seniors
Neil
Day.
Pope.
Yep, I'm Neil Pope from Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
And he came all the way from Winston-Salem. I think that's fabulous, don't you? That is great. And of course, here's our other special guy right here. We love him so much.
The man with no clout.
No, you've got a bunch of that. It's so good to have you here with us.
Love you, Pat.
Love you all too. Okay, Betty. This is special to have all these people here with us.
It sure
really
is. And you know what? We have.
Yeah.
Oh my.
We have a special presentation.
Oh my
This
goodness.
is for you. Scott and Sheila Wills came up with this idea to celebrate you for 20 years.
Thank you so much.
So we're going to interrupt just for a second, but we want you to have your time, so we'll take them back off the set if you want us to.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Scott.
That is really
Thank you
sweet.
so much.
So sweet.
Thank you so much. That was great. Really great.
Pat, you know, we were always trying to give people encouraging words. And since this is our last program, I just want to give this out to all the viewers out there, because in Ephesians 3:20, it says, "Now unto him that is able to do exceeding abundantly above all that we ask or think, according to the power that worketh in us, unto him be glory in the church by Christ Jesus throughout all ages, world without end." And remember, my motto has always been to walk in love and forgiveness.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you for
joining
being
us.
Yes, thank you for being with us all these years. You know, these 20 years, it's been very wonderful to have all of these guests. We couldn't put everyone on here, you know, to show it, because it would have taken a long time. But we chose a few that we could show, and it's just been wonderful. It's been great these 20 years. It really has. And we thank you, and God bless you. And our last one is going to be the Redback Hymnal Sing.
Amen and amen.